Right. So, what's up, YouTube? It's your boy Skinny Moose.
Your boy Fast Squirrel.
And on the phone here, we got the Necro Butcher, the Maga Butcher from XPW.
Hello.
So, before I say anything, I'd like to say thank Mr. Necro for his service, considering he's a veteran. Thank you.
That was you're welcome. That was a long time ago, man. I wasn't really my first plan of action, but that was a long time ago, and I had kids to take care of. I wasn't trying to go play Rambo or anything. I was just trying to take care of my kids.
Yes, sir. That's understandable, definitely. So, my first.
Minimum wage was, I think, minimum wage was $4.25 back then. So you really had to, put in some hours to get any kind of money, and I just had to make a change. So that's what I did.
$4.25, and practically, back then, you'd work like an animal, and you wouldn't really get good money. So, but
you counted on overtime. Like 40 hours a week would not do anything in $4.25. You had to really get overtime, especially if you're trying to take care of family.
Exactly. You had to work like 80 hours or, 100 hours or whatever.
You count on it. You have to count on it. It was crazy time. So you're really a lot younger. And a long time ago.
And even then you had to, probably pick up a second job or some odds and end jobs. Or
we didn't have time. It was always work. Or I was anyway. I was either at work or sleep, but that's it. You didn't really see much of your wife or your kids.
Yeah.
That's why I joined the Army. I had to do something. It wasn't just wasn't working. The Army wasn't the greatest idea either, but well, that's what was going on in my life back then.
So, what made you become a wrestler?
I was always a fan. And then while I was in the Army, I met some guys who were training. So I became friends with the guys that were training and just, started tagging along with them to the sportatorium in Dallas. That's where the Army had sent me finally, was down there at Fort Hood. So I was down there for stationed there for 4 years. And then that's when I started wrestling down in Texas, just tagging along with the guys, going to the sportatorium, going to wrestling school, and one thing kept happening after another, and here we are, all these years later.
Yeah, that was one of my other questions I had. When you was in the service, did you ever wrestle, or did they offer it?
Well, I was training with those guys like my last year in. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't know very much about professional wrestling at all, but I knew whatever it could possibly be had to be better than this. So I really had my mind, and I was not going to re-enlist. Like I was getting out, and I was going to jump into this wrestling stuff best I could. So I didn't really know much about it at the time.
Yeah, you was killing it in the early 2000s and deep Mid-South and CZW. You was over fucking killing it.
Well, there weren't as many places for young guys to go get noticed real fast. A lot of this was like the VHS era of wrestling, so it wasn't like now where you can type in someone's name or type in a match even if you see a certain match. Back then it was a little trickier to get noticed.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to get noticed, you had to go to more or less, for that style of wrestling, if you say, those were the two places, to get noticed. So that's what I was trying to do.
Yeah, I got to get that recognition. And back then, there wasn't many deathmatch promotions running, was there?
There was things here and there, but like I said, it was the exposure.
Yeah,
saying someone else might have had a better deal. It was going on in Japan.
Yeah, out of
You know,
California.
they were doing stuff on the East Coast back then, so just leaving Texas, the Midwest was a more realistic possibility for an unknown wrestler to go try to test himself against better competition in that style of wrestling.
Yeah.
Sir, did you always want to be a deathmatch wrestler? Well, or was it your first career
that
choice?
that wasn't even that was never even there's never any sort of planning with that at all. That's just how things worked out. I really was in the Army, at the time I was training, and it was a different time back then. You didn't really have too much input as far as what your wrestling name might be, what your wrestling, what color boots you wore, what music if you had it. Those things weren't really, you didn't have any kind of control over that. So for my first few matches, I was Private Dylan Summers. I wore camouflage and waved the flag and did that kind of stuff, and that was my real job during the week. So like there wasn't, I just wanted not to do that, but you didn't say that. You did what you were told. And yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. And that's how it worked. And then another guy who was helping with the wrestling school at the Sportatorium took over matchmaking responsibilities for a smaller company. Back then in the 90s, there wasn't even such a word as backyard wrestling, but that's really kind of sort of what it was. We had taken over the matchmaking for this smaller federation, and I was just trying to get ring time. I just wanted to do something in front of a crowd. I was wrestling once every 3 or 4 months. That's not what I wanted to do. I needed to get out there and get in front of a crowd, see what worked for me and what didn't work for me. And it was their idea to pitch this crazy necro butcher character, and I would have said yes to anything. I mean, it could have been a pirate or an Indian chief or a ballerina. It could have been anything. I would have said yes to it. I just wanted to get in the ring and try to get better. And that's what they had in mind. And just one thing just kept leading to another. Some of the best decisions you make in life are ones that are made for you, and that's how this was. It wasn't really something I decided. It's just how it happened.
Yeah, I think Necro Butcher honestly fits you. Or Maga Butcher now, I'm sorry. I mean, I know you by Maga Butcher. I watch a lot of the XBW shows, but I'm stuck on calling you Necro, and I don't want to disrespect you, but that's the way I grew up knowing you. I'm 24, so I go back and I watch a lot of your older matches still to this day that I've seen a million times. I'm like, there's Necro. So
that's fine. Yeah.
What is your thought process when your hair gets caught in the barbed wire?
I didn't hear the first part of your question. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine. What is your thought process when your hair gets caught in the barbed wire?
Well, generally you just got to you grab your hair that's stuck. Grab as much of it as you can between the barbed wire and your head. Hang on to it, and then with the other hand, you just got to yank the barbed wire out. So you try to hold on to you're going to tear you. The goal is to rip your hair in half, not pull your hair out. You know what I'm saying? So you got to hold on to the hair at the base, by your scalp. Hold on to that real tight with one hand, and then grab the barbed wire with the other hand, and you just got to pull as hard as you can. You're trying to tear your hair as opposed to pull it out.
I mean, I'll ask Squirrel's like, dude, how does Necro just rip his fucking hair out of this barbed wire? And he's like, I don't know, because we both have long hair, and I'm like,
Those people paid to see a wrestling match. You can't just be laying around. Oh, my hair's stuck in barbed wire. I guess everybody's got to wait. You people that paid your money, you're going to have to wait while I send someone to the back to get a pair of scissors to cut. You can't. You got to do what you're there for. And that's why it's professional wrestling. You're paid to do it. And if you're paid to do a job, then you need to do your job. And if your hair gets stuck in barbed wire, well, you still got to do your job.
yeah, I was seeing you, and I think it was Carnage Cut. You got your hair caught in the first one, and you was like, you just ripped the barbed wire out of the board, your hair and all. I'm like, oh shit, that had to hurt.
Of course it does. But say you got to keep your mind on your own business. You can lay around and be hurt when it's all said and done with, but when you're out there, you got to take care of business.
That's true, yes, sir.
What is your favorite place to visit while in Japan?
What is my favorite? What in Japan?
Your favorite place to visit?
Well, let's see there. I mean, there's a lot of little hangouts. I mean, just for old time's sake, when I first went to when I first went to Japan, which actually my tour coming up next month will mark my 20-year anniversary of wrestling in Japan.
Oh.
That's coming up next month, and it's like on the same day and everything. That was 20 years ago when I started. But the company I started with back then was Big Japan Pro Wrestling. And when I first went over there, I would stay in the dojo. So, now, of course, I'm in hotels and whatnot. But whenever I go back because the dojo and the office are right around the corner from each other. So anytime I have to go, sign some contracts or look over some flight information or anything I have to do with the office, I always like to stroll down by the dojo, and there's a river down there. So I used to sit down by the river and drink a lot. So sometimes I still do that. Sometimes I go down to the river by the BZW dojo and sit. A couple years ago, I had sunburn. I got down by the river.
Oh shit!
Yeah, but that was one of my early hangout spots. When I first got to Japan, it was broke. But I've done a lot of sightseeing over there. There's a lot of restaurants, a lot of eating establishments I like to, make return trips to when I can. Every now and then, I like to, get a few cans of beer and sit down by the river where the dojo is.
That's understandable. I've never been to Japan, but I would love to go to Japan.
But worked hard for it. Everybody, you have to work hard to get there. It's a reward, but you still have to keep working once you're there, because once you're there, you got to come back.
Yeah.
That's not the end of the end of the tunnel isn't just making it there. You got to make it there. Then you got to do what you can to keep coming back.
What made you used to run around barefooted?
Well, that's a complex question, but I mean, just trying to ultimately came down to trying to present a unique package to promoters. Trying to you want to give promoters the most reasons they can to use you. So that was just part of the unique package I was trying to present for a time.
Yeah, when I first seen you running around barefooted in my younger days, because I'm 24, I mean, I'm not that old, but I messaged Squirrel and was like, hey, this dude's running around barefooted. I was a teenager then. He was like, who, Necro? And I was like, hey, I think that's his name. He said, oh, Necro's a beast. You'll never catch him with shoes on. And I practically never did see you with shoes on. I'm like, this is so awesome how he gets in there and and now everybody's doing it. And I'm like, that's so amazing how he runs around barefooted and slices his foot up and he gives no fucks. I'm like, that's just so amusing to me.
Like I said, just trying to present a unique package to promoters.
So,
hey, use this guy, look what he does.
sorry. What made you start the bar fights, and how do you feel about almost everybody using it nowadays?
Oh man, I hate it. I totally hate that. It makes me not want to do it. I don't watch, the current product anywhere where I'm not working. I don't. Well, why would I? So I didn't realize it was as bad as what it was. But once I started getting into it, I'm like, oh my god, this is fucking terrible. But if you watch, I still think guys understand it.
I mean, I watch a lot of wrestling. I watch a lot of different promotions. IWA, Deep South. I've watched H2O, ICW, and like, I feel like every wrestler, just about every wrestler these days is taking your thing, and I'm like, wait a minute, why don't you give props to him? Like, everybody wants to steal Masada Skiers, and I'm like, at least give the man props. Hey, this bar fight wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Maga Butcher, Necro Butcher.
Well, I just wish they would do it right.
Oh yeah, especially.
It's terrible. It looks absolutely fucking terrible. And I haven't done it in even it's like one of my signature moves. How pathetic is that? That one of the goofs on the goddamn internet have made one of my signature moves into a fucking comedy spot.
Exactly, like you and JC Bailey alone. It was IWA Deep South Extreme Warfare, if I'm not mistaken. When you fucking did that bar fight, you knocked JC Bailey halfway across the ring. I'm like, damn. I still go back, and I bet you I've seen that match alone 50 times, and I just can't get over how you clobbered the pee out of him with your hooks.
Well, see, I can't see real good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So someone's standing up, and I try to hit him. Well, I might miss because they're moving around. But if they're sitting down, well, then I can figure out. Well, hey, you're gonna be in this general area. So it's a little easier to tee off on somebody when you have less chance of missing them.
It's a little easier to pinpoint their location.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
What was it like to wrestle JC Bailey in a barbed wire cage?
And what kind of match was it?
A barbed wire cage.
A barbed wire cage.
Oh yeah, we had a few. We had all kind of a few dozen really unique matches and maybe dangerous matches with similar dangerous stipulations involved. We had all over the place with him. That's when I had left IWA Mid-South, and I was looking for a place to work, and I found it was a company in Kentucky. It was ran by JC's father. They used a couple old guys, but they didn't really have much of a roster at all. So it was unusual for them to have someone like me on their events. And then I patched things up with IWA Mid-South and went back there, and I said, hey, I got these kids I was working with down in Kentucky. Why don't you take a look at them? They were kind of unclear if they wanted to use him or not. And I said, well, what would it take? What would it take for you to take a look at this kid? What would it take for you to use him? I'm telling you, this kid can go. And the powers that be said, well, tell him he has to come to the school and train with the students. And I said, all right, JC. They said they want you to, they'll use you, but they want you to come to the school. And he did. He did. He went to the wrestling school. He did whatever, they asked him to do. then pretty soon everybody in America knew who he was. And even Japan later on. But that was just some kids I was working with when I was on the outs with IW Mid-South.
Shit, you and JC in the CZW Underground, I think it was called, in that cage match, man. That was a good one too.
He was, like I said, I had been, going to having absolute wars with him, a couple of years before anybody ever heard of him. So we had an extensive history that we could rely upon. With the bigger crowd involved, we could just, go back to some things we might have did the last time in front of 20 people. So okay, hey, let's do that in CCW. So got a little better with a bigger crowd.
So can we ask your hobbies outside of the ring?
Pretty boring guy. I don't really get into too many video games. I mean, I play MLB The Show. Sometimes Skyrim, sometimes Fallout. Well, of course, I play all the Fallout games and all the Elder Scrolls games, but other than video games, I mean, if it's baseball season, I'll be checking out a baseball game. And if it's the winter time, I'll be watching the wintertime baseball in the Caribbean countries. I check out baseball when I'm in Japan or wherever, in Mexico or wherever I'm at. I'm checking out baseball, playing video games. I don't really get into too much excitement anymore. I'm just kind of a homebody.
You play Skyrim? That is amazing. I love Skyrim. It's one of my favorite games by
Well, dude, I played. Well, see, I've been playing the Elder Scrolls for a long time. I was playing Daggerfall and Arena on my friend's computer, but I didn't get to play very much, because it was at my friend's house.
yeah.
And Morrowind came out, and my computer finally, and Morrowind was too big for my computer. I was going to have to buy a whole new computer or buy one of these things called an Xbox.
Yeah.
I don't know much about an Xbox, but buying an Xbox is cheaper than buying a new computer, and I really want to play this Morrowind game. So that's why I got an Xbox, was to play Morrowind. And then, of course, Oblivion was a 360 release title. But these are games, like all this, some of the characters in Skyrim were actually in Morrowind.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of the books, the books in the game you can read.
Yes,
a lot
sir.
of those books talk about like what happened in the other games. Like what happened in the different games, like what happened in Oblivion, what happened in Morrowind, and so Daggerfall, so forth. But I've been playing those games for years, years and years.
I don't know when it's supposed to be released, but we're supposed to be getting Fallout 5 and a new Elder Scrolls. Besides Elden Ring.
You might be old and gray like me before that happens. You know how Bethesda is.
Bethesda is bad for, they'll tell you a game's coming out next year and it'll be another 10 years before they even release it.
Yeah. But it's worth it. It's worth it. So I know the game.
So who would you say is some of the hardest hitters in the game besides yourself? Because we all know that you carry a mighty punch.
I don't have to look very far to look outside the XPW locker room to see some of the hardest hitters in the game. You're talking about guys like Slack, guys like Masada, Dirty Ron for such a little fella. He packs a hell of a punch.
Really?
There's a few guys in XPW. Even some of the girls in XPW might even say back of a mean punch. But I think if you go to the wrestling matches to watch a fight, then XPW is the place you want to go do it.
Yeah, XPW, Rob Black really don't care. He lets them run free over there and fuck it, just fight it out. I've said that in one of my other shows. I was like, if you want an all-out fight, go talk to Rob Black. He'll just let you fight it out.
Yeah, he doesn't care what company you work for. He doesn't care what someone says about you on the internet, or who you voted for, or anything like that. Just throw him in the ring, and if he wants a good match, good fight. So
that's one thing I gotta say.
I have such a good home there.
Rob's never let me down when it comes to you've never let me down in general, but your Matt, his bookings is always good. Like I was kind of not too pleased with the gauntlet when Stephen Jury attacked you and then Joe pinned you. That pissed me off, but it's wrestling, so I didn't really have too much to say. But I was like, Necro's going to get his hands on both of y'all. When he does, I feel bad to be you.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. We'll see what the future. I don't know much. That deathmatch tournament's coming up in the spring, but I don't really know much of the matches. I won't be there, so I don't know any of the matches. And no one's really talked to me about any matches going forward, but. I would definitely like to get a rematch with that dude, or go for the belt, whichever one gets offered me. I'll take a shot at either one of them.
With everything that you've been through, and as much as you've entertained us over the years, you need a belt. I don't care what promoter sticks one on you, but I'll go in front of the promoter myself and tell him you need a belt. I mean, look at everything you've done for us. And I know that there's other guys, younger guys or older guys, but a lot of your fans want to see you get the strap. It's well deserved and it's well earned.
Not as bad as I want to. You think you want to see it bad? You got no idea how bad I want it, But there's a lot more things go into it than that.
Yes, sir.
Just wanting something, don't make it happen.
Yes, sir.
You gotta go out and make it happen yourself.
What advice would you give an up-and-comer breaking into the business?
Well, it's funny you should ask that, because after this Japan tour, which wraps up, it's mid-April to mid-May. Then when I get back in the USA in mid-May, I am packing up and moving, lock, stock, and barrel. I have a ring. I have a building. I have everything I need to start up my own wrestling school and run my own monthly wrestling events in Amarillo, Texas. So I'll be starting. I think I have 4 students signed up for right now, but that's going to start June 1st. And one of my business partners down there in Amarillo is the regional manager of a sandwich franchise that can help guys out with part-time jobs. Like if somebody's trying to move down there and stay for a little while, and you gotta get some kind of job to pay for while you're training or whatever, and help guys out with that. It's going to have a dormitory there in the building, so guys, if they want to stay overnight or stay for a while, that'll be fine. And I hope to someday send my students over to Japan, the dojo over there. Maybe they can follow in my footsteps.
Yes.
I'm sure if they stick with it, that's a very real possibility.
Like, if you go back and watch this interview, you will see that when you just said that, I covered my mouth. That just blew my mind. I honestly, I have one of the questions is, what's your big announcement from XPW?
Well, that, and it's just time for one last big gamble on myself. You know what I'm saying? So I have some favors, I have some friends in the business, and I've talked to some friends, and I've, called in some favors, and I've got some favors I didn't ask for, and I've got it all lined up, waiting to go. There'll be monthly events starting now, and then, the goal is I want to run weekly events no time soon, but I want to get to weekly by the time next year's high school football season. When next year, I'm just going to run monthly for like the next year and a half. And then when next year's high school football season is over, then I want to go into weekly. I'm not trying to hurry into that. I don't want to compete against high school football when I'm just getting started, so I want to wait till all that's over with. But, I've talked to some guys, and we think we have a plan. So we'll see what happens.
Is your school going to be, is your school going to be death matches, or is it going to be technical wrestling, or both?
Well, it's not going to start out in any direction. First we're just going to, see what these guys, see what they're doing, and what they're capable of, what they're trying to do. It's not really, and not everybody's going to stick with it too. Not everybody can stick with it.
Yeah.
And it's not really, there's not really quick, some people might be different skill levels also, so you have to work within the various skill levels that might be right there in your class. So you can't really say, okay, we're all going to work on this, we're all going to work on that. We're all going to work on some things, but then we have to work on our own things as well. So it's just going to have to be on a case by case basis, depending on what those guys are trying to accomplish and what they're capable. More so, importantly, if they're capable, of going that route.
Honestly, I would tell Brian. I was like, either his big announcement is going to be he's going to do another series in Japan, or he's getting ready to retire.
Yeah, too, yeah.
And I was like,
I've already promised all my Japanese money away. I'm still sitting here in America, having done none of these matches, but I've already promised all this money away. So I better hope nothing goes wrong over there. I better hope I don't get hurt on night one.
Yes, sir. I told Brian and I told Squirrel, I was like, if he retires, I'm gonna step off camera. I'm gonna fucking cry like a baby.
Just think you put yourself in time travel and go ahead in time, go forward in time, maybe just a year from now, or 2 years from now, and you got 4 or 5 guys in the deathmatch scene, perhaps, that fight like me. What kind of difference could those guys have on the game? What kind of impact could I leave on the sport forever, or well past my own, active competitive years? Let me help shape the next generation fights to the standard that I always held myself to.
Yes, sir. Have you ever seen the St. Louis Cardinals live? If so, how many times?
Oh, I don't know how many times. Not as many as I would like to. I go to at least a couple games a year.
Hell yeah.
But I mean, it's kind of a complicated process because it's not like I'm just happen to be wrestling in St. Louis and checking out a game when I'm there, or checking out a game in wrestling in another city, because I'm not really wrestling that much. So, going to a Cardinals game means buying a plane ticket and getting a hotel and all this, that, and the other. But I go to a couple games a year, I like to go to the rooftop, Cardinals Rooftop Nation. That's the best place to go, because it's all inclusive, so you can drink as many beers as humanly possible, as much food as humanly possible, as much beers. My record is 40 beers during a baseball game, and I really had to push it. I've been happy with 36, but I pushed it to 40 just for that nice big even number, but I'm not gonna do that anymore. I'm good with like 12 or 15 now.
Holy shit. So why is St. Louis your favorite baseball team?
Well, many years ago, they used to, the KMOX in St. Louis, that used to be not just the biggest, it was the most powerful radio signal in the U.S.
Yes,
So
sir.
it went really far. Like, you could pick it up pretty much anywhere in the country. So where I grew up, we're the Pirates area, so we could get the Pirates games or the Cardinals games on the radio or the television, either one. And my great grandfather, I didn't understand this at the time, but he would put the Pirates game on the television, and then he put the Cardinals game on the radio. And I just thought that the game on the radio, to me, no matter what was going on, the game on the radio always seemed more exciting than the game on television. I didn't know they were, it was I didn't understand as a kid, but I figured out later on, and I just always liked, listening to the Cardinals on the radio. It's just something I've always done.
Yes, sir.
So just,
I know.
same thing with watching the classic wrestling matches, just listen to the Cardinals on the radio and watching classic wrestling matches just takes you back to when I was a kid, things are a happier time when you're a kid. So
Yeah.
I guess that's the answer.
I noticed you wrestle a lot with JCW. Is JCW a home promotion?
It's a Club Posse's company.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
Juggalo Championship Wrestling, ain't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've wrestled for those guys even longer than 20 years. Maybe 22 years, 23 years, I don't know, a long time. I think the second gathering was the first one I went to. So I've been working for that company for a while too. A lot of fun, a lot of great times. Crazy stories, crazy memories on the road. Great times.
So, what are some of your worst injuries? I know your arm when you was working in Deep South or Mid South. Fuck, sorry. I know your arm got sliced up pretty badly.
Everybody's got their physical problems. Maybe for worst injury, I had to say a broken heart. A broken heart would be the worst one, right?
I respect that. I mean, I've
No,
definitely.
I don't know. I mean, even things go wrong all the time.
Yes, sir.
It's nothing. Nobody's really keeping score,
Yes, sir. I mean, like you said, a broken heart. I think that's worse than,
Yeah. Yeah, I get those. There's no time period for those. Just to whenever.
I mean,
sometimes whenever never comes.
I kind of understand that because considering my high school sweetheart, she broke me and then she left me and went back to her fucking ex. And I got into some trouble because I was getting ready to beat the motherfucker's head in. But, I'm happily married now. And, I guess that's part of time in life. It don't go your way. But, she's hit me up before and I'm like, honey, you lost that chance. Go on with your damn sad sorry ass. You ain't getting a chance to fuck me again. And not in a good way. So, what is your favorite beer from each country, considering you've been to almost every country?
Favorite beer? Boy.
Or whiskey,
When
whatever
I'm
you
in
drink.
good old US of A, I will typically go for Yingling or Shiner, depending on where I'm at. Mexican beer. There's a lot of them that are good. There's a lot of good beer in America too. But for Mexico beer, I would pick Indio or Sol. Indio or Sol for Mexico. If I were to pick Japanese beer, I think my favorite one I could get at the convenience store would be Asahi Super Dry. Yeah, Asahi Super Dry is the one I like from Japan. But there's a lot of good ones too. Sapporo is a good beer in Japan. Ebisu is a real good beer in Japan. For Canada, I think they quit making the Canadian beer I liked. It was called Lakeport. It was really cheap, but I think they quit making Lakeport. What other countries? I think that's good for now, I guess.
Yeah, when you went on your last tour in Japan, after you accepted my friend's request, I was getting all the updates, and you grabbed a beer and you said, "I never had it before, but it tastes good." And I busted out laughing, and my wife's like, "What are you laughing at?" I was like, "Necro, he got him a beer and he don't know what it is, but he said it tastes good."
Yeah, so sometimes it's a foreign language. You just have to gamble on your love of beer.
I mean, if you don't know what it says and you can't read it, you don't have no translator. You better hope it's good. If not, it's gonna taste like trash, and you just wasted your money.
Well, you still learn something. You still learn something each time.
Yes, sir.
What is your favorite place to wrestle internationally?
Let's see, favorite arena?
Yes, sir.
What was your question? I can barely hear you.
What is your favorite place to wrestle internationally?
Oh, like an arena. Well, that'd be easy. That'd be Cork Hall in Tokyo. Yeah, that's easy. That's the place you want to wrestle.
I gotta agree.
That's the Madison Square Garden of Japan.
I gotta agree. A lot of wrestlers love Corgan Hall.
Yeah.
How do you feel deathmatch wrestling has evolved over the years?
I don't. I can't say I'm real pleased with the way it's going. That's for sure. It seems to be getting away from the wrestling and just trying to be just crazy and too crazy sometimes. I don't know. I think there's too many guys doing it for one thing, and I think there's a lot of guys that don't know what they're doing, and there's a lot of guys that aren't very good at it. It seems like whenever there's a big crowd or a big house, they've come to see these guys, and it's just guys that aren't very good or don't know what they're doing.
Exactly. So how was it beating cancer and returning to the ring?
Well, it was just, yes, sometimes I think I'm still in the hospital. I think this is all a dream. I'm still hooked up to machines. I still have a tube in my chest and all that nonsense going on. This is all some kind of fantasy life I've created for myself in a coma. It doesn't seem real. Back on pay-per-view matches, wrestling in Japan again. It doesn't seem real at all.
Yes, sir. I understand that.
I noticed you have tattoos. What is your favorite tattoo?
Oh, I don't know. I don't really. That's too. Is there one you were noticing in particular? Which one do you say you were talking about?
You got the pot leaf tattoo. I think that one's cool.
He likes your pot leaf tattoo.
Oh, yeah. I think that was like the second one I ever got. Yeah, that was my second ever tattoo.
I like
I've met some really cool friends with that. it's a great icebreaker.
Yeah.
You know, you meet somebody, oh, hello there. I also enjoy that. You know, you make good friends with tattoos like that.
I'm sorry, I had to laugh at that. So, will you speak on passing the slack to Torch, considering you gave him the Choose Death shirt?
Well, that's what I was trying to do. Yeah. Well, I didn't. Pardon me.
You're fine.
Well, I mean, in my defense, I was dying of cancer. I didn't know I was going to get better. I was pretty sick. You know, it'd been very believable if that would have been it, you know, but, you know, God had other plans for me, I guess. I think he just keeps me around because he likes laughing at me. Honestly, that's what's going on.
Honestly, I was looking in the groups one day, and I know that you got booked to fight, but then when you got a hold of Danny, and he was like, "Well, you know, I got cancer. I'm no offense, a dying man." And Danny DeMano was like, "Are you still going to come to work?" I'm like, "Dude, he's fucking dying. Possibly grow up." That I'm sorry, but that went right through me. Considering, if I was Danny, I would be like, we'll have to rebook you another time. Go get your rest. Go get bettered up and all that. That's low from a promoter's point of view.
Well, there might not have been no get better though. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Like that could have been as good. That could have been as good as they were going to be. You know, and it did get way worse before it got better. It got way worse.
Wait, so after your match was...
I don't look at it that way. I looked at it as it was already too far at that point anyway. But you know, you can't assume things are ever going to get better when they're that bad.
Yeah. So after your match with Slack, your cancer got worse.
Oh God, yeah. It was, I was in bed all the time at the end of it before I started getting better. I was in bed all the time. I'd get up once a day to piss. That's it. Using a walker. I think I got down to 156 was my lowest weight. You know, it was real bad, real bad.
I'm glad you're still here. You just
280 now, baby.
This interview is blowing my mind. I'm glad you're still here, and I'm glad you're healthy and everything. But this is just blowing my mind. So, if this question is too personal, you don't have to answer it. But what made you say I might be the happiest man ever to hear he has cancer?
Oh, well, because it was taking a really long time to, I didn't get my diagnosis. It was taking months and months, and they were cutting on me, man. I was going to the hospital. I was getting, there was one time where, I had to give 13 vials of blood, and you know what I'm saying? And I was weak. I just got tired of it. And I mean, everything was, it was like an hour and a half ride to the hospital on country ass back West Virginia roads. You know what I'm saying? So I'm all sick, and the ride to the hospital was beating the shit out of me. You know what I'm saying? The ride to the hospital, I'd be hurting back in the car, get bounced around and stuff, and all the operations, the surgeries, the tests, and this, that, and the other. Like, I just wanted to know what it was. Just tell me what's going on. Let's stop all these tests. The tests were horrible.
I understand that. A lot of my family's had cancer, and it's wiped out practically my whole grandfather's side. My grandmother had cancer. She had 5 types. Brain cancer is what took her, though. But I understand that, you get caught on, sliced on, and, they can't figure out the diagnosis or whatever. I understand that completely, sir.
They can't just give you generic cancer medicine. You know what I'm saying? They have to give you whatever it is to kill that very specific kind of cancer you got. You know what I'm saying? They got to figure out what it is before they give you your medicine. So when you get your diagnosis, you know, it's kind of cool though. I mean, if there's anything fucking cool about cancer, and there ain't, but it is nice when you get your diagnosis, because now you can start chemo. Now you're gonna start medicine. Now you're gonna start getting, you know, medicine pumped into your body. It's gonna kill this shit. Now that you know what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I was excited about my diagnosis finally, because now I knew what I was dealing with, what I was gonna have to do.
They're thinking my grandfather might have cancer again, and he goes tomorrow. He's done beat it once. And he was like, well, look at how cancer's evolved over the years and how doctors are killing it and, you know, taking care of it. I'm like, but still, you know, cancer's been around for years. They should have a cure to it by now.
Well, it's a living creature like anything else, and no living creature wants to die. Every living creature is going to adapt and evolve and try to stay alive. You know, look at the common cold does every year.
Yes, sir.
Creature, it wants to live, so it's going to adapt and do what it has to do to live, or would have got rid of it like some other diseases we've got rid of over time.
Yes, sir.
What was it like being tag partners with Toby Klein?
Well, yeah, we had a lot of good matches in the Midwest too. You know, we were about roughly the same age. You know, similar styles. It was a good fit. We had a lot of good Midwest Coast together.
It's funny that you asked that, Squirrel, because I have who's his favorite tag team partner. I would say Pondo.
Well, I don't really like to play the favorite this, favorite that thing, because you always leave somebody out.
I understand that.
You know what I'm saying? That's
I understand that, yes, sir. What kind of music is on your playlist?
it depends on what kind of mood I'm in. You know, typically probably 70s and 80s country. Probably the most, probably.
Country. I honestly see Necro either listening to like rock and roll, country, or heavy metal.
Well, it depends. Nothing new. I don't like any modern music at all. Anything maybe past 1990 or so, I'm not really interested in it.
I listen to a lot of Ozzy. I mean, like country music. If I'm listening to country, I may listen to a little bit of this new stuff, but I'm mostly George Jones, Hank Williams, Hank Jr., you know, stuff like that. That's my type of music.
Okay. I like rap. What is your biggest accomplishment in your career so far?
Oh boy, I wouldn't have a clue. Maybe let's see. Oh, I don't know. that'd be for the fans to decide, not me. You know, I've been really lucky and have a lot of cool moments, so I don't really know.
For me, and he's living it up to us, beating cancer, coming back, and beating everybody's
That's
ass.
A pretty good one, I guess. Yeah, see there.
Beating everybody's ass that he's ever stepped in the ring with. I'm sorry. How was it being in the finals of Carnage Cup 13 and fighting Bryant Woods?
Oh yeah, it was like well, I was still kind of new too. To me, I was getting back in the game, and we're like way out in the Tennessee. Where was that?
McKenzie, Tennessee, out there in the middle of nowhere.
We're out in the woods on some farm or something, and there's cars parked everywhere. There's people in lawn chairs with coolers full of the beer. We get to do stuff like that too often. So you got to enjoy that when you can.
Yeah, my favorite part out of that the first round was you, Jimmy Controversial, and Bryant Woods. And I fucking died when you slammed Jimmy into that U.
I was just trying to get rid of him. I was trying to get rid of him so I could fight the big guy. I didn't fight the little guy.
Honestly,
I was trying to dispose of him.
I told Bryant Woods, I said, if I ever step in the ring with you two, him and Necro, I said, I'm going to play it smart. I'm just going to step out of the way and let the two big men fight.
Well, I was trying to.
I mean, like, every time you would get rid of him, it was like, when you least expected it, he would come back and attack you. And I'm like, Necro's eventually going to get fed up and beat you into the ground.
He's a persistent little fella.
Go ahead, Cordell.
What is your excuse me, I'm sorry. What is your favorite deathmatch tournament to wrestle in?
Oh, well, I mean, I don't know. That's not really something I really thought about. I guess it's a big deal. Like the first time you hit them, right? And then it's like a big deal the first time you win them too. That's pretty cool. But I mean, other than that, I don't really. It's not like any of them have a bigger tradition than any of the others. They're all pretty equal in that aspect. I guess it just depends on how big the crowd is, I guess. But not something I ever thought about.
I noticed that you like guardrails. Is that your favorite weapon?
Well, I think like my action figure comes with a guardrail, I would assume, right?
Yeah, I think so. I haven't seen your action figure, matter of fact.
There is one, because I made it up, because there ain't one. I'm going to be a smart ass. Yeah, but if there was an action figure, it would come with a guardrail.
I mean, yeah, because like he's put fucking JD Horde through guardrails. He's fucking brutally murdered Chuck Stein with guardrails. When you fought Slack in ICW and HB1, what did he break?
What do you mean?
There's some fans was talking something about when you fought Slack and ICW and HB1, he broke something in your neck with a V or something. I'm not for sure what they called it. Like your vote. I'm not for sure. It was Slack broke something that I heard, and I wanted to make sure if it was actually true or not.
That's the first time I ever heard of that.
Yeah, because I think it was a deathmatch elite. Honestly, some person said that Slack broke something, and I was like, wait, what? I never heard that.
You can't believe everything you read on the internet.
Yes, sir. That's true. That's why I wanted to make sure. Do you like Japanese baseball, and is it any different than American baseball?
No, I mean it's the same except for the Central League over there. You still have pitchers bat. The Pacific League and the Central League. The Pacific League has a DH, and the Central League is like old National League rules where the pitchers still bat.
Hell yeah.
What was it like being JCW Tag Team Champions with Madman Pondo?
We had a lot of defenses all over the country. You know, they always want the matches to be, a certain way. So there's always, stuff flying all over the place in those JCW matches. It was a lot of fun. Of course, you always want to carry those belts around.
Was JC Bailey your biggest rival?
Oh, I don't know. That's not something I think about, buddy.
I was about to say, because I seen you and JC, y'all two would get in there, fucking brutalize each other. I'm assuming you've done said St. Louis has always been your favorite team. Do you have any other favorite baseball teams?
I don't know. with the foreign leagues and stuff, I'll usually just cheer for whichever team has like the American starting pitcher. I'll cheer for that. I'll watch the Taiwanese games or the Korean games and just cheer for whatever team has an American starting pitcher. I do that a lot.
I understand that. When you fought,
You guys are gonna let me get off here against that beat pretty soon now.
yes, sir.
Keep the old man up too late.
Yes, sir. That's understandable.
Yes, sir. What was it like to be in the What was it like to be in the IWA Mid South and IWA Deep South King of the Death matches in the same year?
Well, I mean, you're just trying to stay busy.
My last
That's that thing when it's your job, you're just trying to stay busy.
My last question was, and this is actually a lot of us want to know from Deep South, how was it getting headbutt by Brant Woods?
What was the question again now? What now?
A lot of us want to know, a lot of the Deep South guys, Brian included, how was it getting headbutted by Brant Woods?
Well, I mean, I've been. I don't think I'd be a fair person to ask because I've been hit by so many people, so many things.
Well,
I mean, I was having a good time. That's why I was trying to get rid of the other guy.
Thank you. I like to say thank you for coming on, Mr. Necro. And
Thanks for the
Thank
baseball
you.
card, Zach Thompson.
Thank you.
Or no, Nick Riquet. Yeah, Nick Riquet. Yeah. All right.
thank you, sir.
Okie dokie.
Thank you, sir.
I'll see you guys in the matches someday.
Yes, sir. Have a good night, Mr. Necro.
All right. Good night, fellas.
Skinny Moose out.
Fast Squirrel out.